Hello, my noble band of outlaws. Outlaw Samurai coming at you live with a video. Sorry it's been so long since I did the unboxing of this. I'm here in my gi. I really need to go to I need to go to an actual tailor and get a custom gi made in the colors that I want. But today we're going to do the review of the Dragon King Spring Sakura Katana in my normal reviewing fashion. So yeah, this is going to take a while. So real quick, warning, get yourself a snack and a drink and clear up about 20-30 minutes of your day. Because we going, as I normally do, in depth, and I keep trying to make these videos short, but I keep ending up making them long, so I'm just going to make them as long as I possibly can. Long, but shortish long. In any case, without further ado, again, buying this from Cult of Athena. The description: vibrant and radiant, the beauty of the cherry blossoms is matched only by the short season of the blossoms before they fall to the ground. In these blossoms, the samurai saw the ideal metaphor for the life of a samurai. A beautiful life and the envy of all at its height. But cut short at its apex, he and his comrades would fall in battle, like the field fallen blossoms on a chill twilight wind. This katana by Dragon King is the embodiment of spring and the highlight of its season. The Sakura blossoms, this katana of its season, the Sakura blossoms. This katana manifests this motif with a highly detailed and very well formed cherry blossom tsuba matched with a red suka ito wrap. The blade is sharp and robust and well worthy of battle. It is forged from 5160 high carbon steel, which they should have technically said high carbon spring steel because 5160 is a spring steel. With an edge hardness of 57 HRC, which is very hard, by the way, and is designed to be well suited to grammarly they should have said go through, but it just says to be well suited to through, or I'm just going to properly say it in correct grammar, go through cutting practice on soft and semi-hard targets without chipping the edge. The habaki and seppa are silver and the tsuba is blackened stainless steel. The ito grip is knotted over a wooden suka grip with inlaid genuine ray skin. The carved wood saya scabbard is coated in a glossy black lacquer and finished with polished buffalo horn fittings and a sageo cord. A cloth sword bag is included. Which, when you saw my unboxing, you didn't. Everything they said about the sword is correct so far. Specifications: 39 and 7/8 of an inch overall with a 28-inch blade. The weight is 2 pounds 7 ounces, which, if this thing is 2 pounds 7 ounces, to me that feels pretty fucking light. Of course, I'm used to swinging around the monster that is the Thunder Fang, or the Cold Steel Warrior O Katana. The width is 31.1 millimeters, and the thickness is 6.7 millimeters at the habaki and 4 millimeters at the kasaki point. There is no pommel. Point of balance is 5 1/4 inch from the tsuba. Grip length is 10 1/8 of an inch. Blade is 5160 high carbon steel. The type is katana, class battle ready, culture Japanese, manufacturer Dragon King, and country of origin China. And now that we've gotten all the technical bibble babble out of the way, let's move on to the actual sword. Alright, so these are supposed to be horned fittings. My camera's not doing a very good job of picking this up, but there's a very minute line right about here that separates the buffalo horn. the Koigata. Parts on the saya I'm not completely familiarized with, so if I mix match these, please forgive me. The Koigata, the Kojiri, and the Koiguchi. The Koiguchi is the only one I know for sure. Are all apparently horn. Again, this one is much better at picking up the fine line, but as you can see there, that line is, everything from that line above is horn. Pop the blade for a minute. So you can see, the mouth of the Koiguchi has very thin wood all around it. So they actually did put a sizable piece of horn on the spring Sakura. And if I come over here and get her big sister saya for a minute, you can see the contrast between the spring Sakura and the winter sun. The winter sun has a little bit more wood and a little less buffalo horn than the spring Sakura. But yeah, comparing the two sayas next to each other, there's also another big difference between these two sayas, and that is the spring Sakura has a black gloss piano finish fingerprint trap of a saya, and this one has a black ishime lacquer, or a practitioner's saya, which I actually like the look of ishime lacquers better. I like the look, I like the texture, I just like ishime better. It's simplistic, it does the job, and there's no real big fussiness about it. I'm a simple guy at heart. Alright. Generally, the more simplistic something is, the more I'm going to tend to gravitate towards it. But yeah. There is no taper on either one of these sayas. They stay the same width and thickness all the way down. There is no taper on either one of these. Sorry about that, I had to take care of something. But as I said, there is no tapering in either of these sayas. Next part. The sageo is the same kind of sageo that's on the winter sun. I'd say somewhat of a decent quality. As I've said with the winter sun and pretty much every other katana, I don't really know anything about sageo. They don't really interest me. I mean, I usually just leave them on the saya for decoration purposes. I don't really ever use them because the kind of kenjutsu I practice is my own style that I invented myself, which doesn't really utilize the sageo for anything. So, there's that. Next, let's move on to the business end of this. The sword. As you can see, we have silver shitodome pieces that are completely tight, no wiggle. The Kashira doesn't have any wiggle. There's no wiggle in the Ito wrap either. Real, genuine ray skid, just like its big sister. And it has a lovely red Ito wrap. The flower manukis, as I showed you in the previous video. It has two Makugi pegs, which I may end up actually replacing with Makugi pegs of my own. Here's the Seppa and the Fushira. From what I've seen of the pictures and ordering this second sword. The fittings in the Dragon King seasonal collection, they really don't change between sword and sword. Alright? They basically have the same fittings, but the color and theme patterns change, is what I've noticed. Here's the very ornate Suba. As we look on this side, you can kind of make out the leaves of the cherry blossom. The silver habaki, which personally for me I feel could be a little shinier if it's supposed to be silver. But that's just me. Ooh, we have a reflection going on. There's a mirror polish all along the back of the blade to the Ukote line and into the bushi. I believe this is the bushi line. I don't know what it is with Dragon King and having this off-centered polish, but I mean, it doesn't, I don't mind it, but I think just aesthetically speaking, it would have been better to just have the mirror polish go all the way up to the tip. There's a satin finish on the cutting plane. The blade is fitted into the habaki how it's supposed to be at the hamachi and the mumachi. No, this is the hamachi and the mumachi. They appear to be. I haven't taken this thing apart because with the winter sun, you can't get anything past the sukako off without hammering the shit out of it. And the Suba's already a little bent on that one, so I don't really want to go wailing on it. But I will attempt to take this off so we can at least get some kind of look at the Nikako in a minute. Yeah. The Kisaki doesn't have a geometric yokote. It's just counter varnished. All in all, this sword, it feels very lively in my hand. Like, I almost want to say this would be a one-handed sword, really, to me. Though, to be quite fair and honest with you, I find this to be a one-handed sword as well, and see the difference in blade stature. There's a good maybe 3 inches more blade on the winter sun, and yet I find this to be a one-handed sword as well. Look at me over here, I'm going full Miyamoto Musashi. But that's the thing. Now, it could just be the fact that my wooden training swords are about this long, and I've swung those around single-handedly so long that I might have unknowingly developed the muscles to swing 2 full-size swords without realizing it. But I really do feel that this is a one-handed sword. I really think this is like a kodachi, really. A mix between the wakazaki and the katana, the kodachi. I mean, you get the control with 2 hands, but just my personal take, you don't really need it, because there's not that much blade sticking out in front of you, and it's not that thick, really. This is actually a bit thinner than my $50 crane sword. But the steel but the steel and craftsmanship of this sword is on a completely different level. Comparing that sword to this one would probably be, I want to say, similar to comparing a Granny Smith apple and a Fuji apple. Fuji apples just tend to taste sweeter. Though I do also like the crisp taste of a Granny Smith, the green apples. Personally, I like green apples more than I like red ones. But in any case, there's that. So handling wise, I do feel like this is, for me, very much a one-handed sword. If I had to use, I like the option of having the second hand on here, but I really don't feel like I need the second hand. Just simply from doing this, you can see I have a lot of control over the blade overall. And if I take the Dragon King Winter Sun, yes, I'm a bit slower with this one, doing it one-handed, but the difference is minute, really. So yeah, I feel like this would be more of a one-handed sword, or a sword most beneficial to shorter practitioners. As Matthew Jensen would say, as said in his review of this sword, he said that this sword would be geared to more along the lines of women and children, just because women tend to have shorter arms than men overall. Just like with archery, women tend to have shorter draw lengths than men. And his daughter, who was, I assume, watching some sort of movie in the background, he asked her, was like, "What do you like about this sword?" And she said, "It's pretty, it's red." So, got a little girl's perspective, so seal of approval. But yeah, overall, the Spring Sakura katana, I very much like it. I find it to be a very nimble and fast sword. And just the overall length, I would say this is a one-handed sword for me. Now, other people may not agree with that, but to me, this is the perfect one-handed sword length. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the Dragon King Winter Sun. But if I'm being truthful, I can actually swing this around a little bit longer, one-handed, than if I was going to use the Winter Sun. And that little bit of a time difference can mean life or death on a battlefield. But overall, my full thoughts on this sword is that it's very well built. You're going to pay around $400 for it on Cult of Athena. I know everything's gone up, fucking Ukraine and all this shit. But you're going to pay about $400. I use the Sizzle program. That's roughly going to cost you about $105. I've spent $420. It's roughly going to cost you around $105 over the 4 payments. So, there's that. And honestly, I can't find any real fault with this sword. It matches all of my criteria for a good sword. It's sharp. It came to me sharp. It's well built. It's straight, and it does the job of cutting things that I put in front of it. Now, I haven't torture tested this thing or anything. I'm not Matthew Jensen. I don't torture test my swords. Simply because of the fact that I don't like the idea of breaking a sword that I spent $400 on. Even the idea of chipping the edge on this thing kind of terrifies me. But there's that. Now, we're going to move over to a different filming spot so I can hopefully remove the Nakago. So take the Suka off so we can get a good look at the inner parts of this sword. And I found out that the little hammer, it works so long as you basically hold it like this and let it strike with the weight. And holding on to the little pushing doodad also very much helps the situation. There we go. Notice how the Makugi peg is actually tapered. Now when I make Makugi pegs, I tend not to taper them and make them pretty thick in the middle. And that's mainly because of the fact that I usually have to hammer them in with a much bigger hammer. And that's usually because I don't like the idea of them coming out on me. I hate it when the Makugi peg is underneath the damn Ito wrap. Yeah. I'd bored a hole into that. Let's try if this works. Classic redneck solution. Use a fucking Allen wrench. Damn. I'll be right back, my noble band of outlaws. Now let's see if we can get this out. My cookie peg just doesn't want to come out.
Are you hammering the wall?
Sorry, I just had an idea for a second there. Let's try it this way. Now what in the actual hell? Ah. What in the hell? Now the damn thing decides to come out. Good news. All the hammering caused no damage to the sword. It caused a lot of metal shavings and schmutz. To come out of the thing. Alright. Here we have the Sakura core. There's no cracks or anything to be found. The seam is closed up rather tight. It is a panel construction, which means the panels are inlaid on both sides. Fuchsia has done quite well. And requires a bit of persuasion to go back on there, so you know it's on there good. I'm gonna have to carve a new Makugi peg because I lost the other one. Ooh! Okay, so the Suba actually comes off of this one. Who knows? We might actually be able to get a peek at the sword. Fully disassembled. Oh, we are. Well, hot shit. Here's the Habaki. Some frayed metal on here. Yes, my struggle has been real throughout the entirety of this filming process. But here's the Nakago of the sword. Nah, fuck it, I'm just gonna touch the blade. Looks like the Tang is covered in some sort of oil. Disassembled. The sword is still perfectly straight. It does appear to be rust on the Nakago. So that's something that's going to have to be addressed. Here's the Suba. Yeah, very good look at the pattern. The Seppa. Now, I took that off now. It adds a little bit of a rattle. Here's the sword completely disassembled. While I have this thing disassembled, I'm going to go grab a piece of sandpaper to get this rust off. Nothing too over the top, just a little 120 grit. Now I will say that the winter sun did not come with any rust on it. Which is a major plus. WD-40. Trying to get into those cracks. And a quick blast of WD-40. About a minute with a little bit of sandpaper, some WD-40, and we have a clean Chicago. It doesn't have the crisscrossing file markings that you see on more expensive swords, but it honestly doesn't really need to have that. But this has been my review of the Dragon King Spring Sakura Katana with full dismantle for your viewing pleasure. So, until next time, my noble band of outlaw samurai tells all y'all, be crazy rednecks, be safe and use your weapons. I'd video myself putting this thing back together, but my camera's about to die. So until next time, I'm out. Peace.